back to Easy Peasy Crochet. Today we are going to learn how to do a spiral circle blanket. Whatever I show you in the video, I will come to a stopping point at some point, but you can make it as big as you want as long as your increases are done the correct way. For this pattern, you're going to need to know how to do a slip stitch, chain stitch, and a double crochet, and to do those I have videos that explain them and show them very slowly how to do them if you need help before this video. But if you don't, we are going to jump right in and start with four chain stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to create a circle we're going to work into by crocheting straight into the middle of the first chain on your hook. And then we are going to chain 2, and then we are going to, this is going to count as a double crochet, so then we're going to double crochet 8 around. So in total, counting this post right here, you should have 9 stitches around. We are going directly into the center of the circle. So 1, counting your chain space, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And feel free to pull your tail to tighten up your work, because this one's got a pretty tight middle. I believe I was on 8, but I'm going to count just to be sure. 1, counting the chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we're going to do one more. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of the second chain. Boop. Once we do that, our work will look like this. I will have a video on how to weave in ends. If you want to weave them in with a needle or your hook later, that's fine. If you just want to leave it because it's a practice, do that. I'm going to just leave mine out so it doesn't get in the way of the video. But yes, I will have a video up on how to weave that in or to work. I usually hold it beside my work and work it over and under my work so it stays hidden perfectly. So now for our next thing, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and after we've chained 2, I want to chain to double crochet into the same space that you slip stitched into. So I'm going to show you. We're going to double crochet right beside it. It should be in the same one, and then we are going to go into the next double crochet, and we are going to, chain 1 after that, double crochet 2 into the next, 2 into the next double crochet, and chain 1. And this is what it should start looking like, and you want to do that all the way around. So you should double crochet 2 into each double crochet space around, and then chain 1 in between every 2 you are doing inside of 1. That made a whole lot of crazy sense in my own brain. I hope you can keep up. Chain 1, double crochet 2. And we chain 1 and double crochet 2. And at the end, since you had 9 double crochets to start, you should have 18 now, because you have increased each crochet around. Once you have done that, you are going to make sure after your last 2 double crochets you chain 1, and you want to slip stitch into the top of this chain, the last chain Boop. All right, and once we have done that, I want you to slip stitch over to this top of this double crochet for me, please. Once you have slip stitched into the top of that, I want you to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I want you to double crochet twice into this empty space. 1 and 2, and that makes 3. And I counting your post here. I want you to chain 1, double crochet 1 into this double crochet spot. Skip the first one, we're going to the second one, and double crochet 1, and then we're going to double crochet 2 directly into this chain 1 space. So 1, 2, and then I want you to chain 1, and then I want you to double crochet into the second double crochet to the top of that, and double crochet twice into the chain 1 space. And you're going to do that all the way around, all while remembering to chain 1 before you go into the top of the second double crochet with a double crochet, and then double crochet twice into the open chain 1 space. And I will meet you back at the end for the next round. So after you have made it to the end here, make sure you chain your 1 if you haven't already, and I want you to slip stitch into the top of this second crochet here. To the second chain here, and you should start seeing your increases happening. And just know every time you go around, you're going to have 1 extra in each. They're not a cluster stitch by any means, but they're clustered up. So this is a 1 singled, and then we doubled it, and then there's 3, so next is going to be 4 or 5 if you need to check your work. And every time that you slip stitch into this first chain, make sure you're always slip stitching over 1 more time, because that part of the pattern will not change, and chaining 2, 1, 2 will not change either. And yeah, now we're going to work on our very next space. The only thing that will change once your pattern gets so big is the chains in between, because they're going to slowly get bigger and bigger. That way you can really see it spiral it out really pretty. But we're going to keep working. I'm going to yarn over and crochet into this space, this last double crochet space, and then I'm going to crochet 2 into my chain 1 space, a lot like we were doing at the beginning, at the last round. And then you have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You chain 1, want you to double crochet into this second stitch. You're always skipping this first one, even if you make it to the other round, you're doing that. So you're doing 1 this time, and then you're doing all the way across. You skip 1 and double crochet into each round on top, and then you are putting 2 into the middle every time. So there's 1 and 2 into that chain 1 space, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to skip the first double crochet, but double crochet into the next, and then make sure you go all the way to the end. So we're going to crochet, double crochet 1, 2 times, and then into the chain 1 space. We're always increasing by 1, so you chain 1, increase by 1. And that's just going to help your blanket lay flat and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So then we chain 1, go into the next double crochet, not the first. Make sure you go all the way to the end, which is 1 and 2, and then 2 inside the chain 1 space. And if you think you could handle that, or if you need to rewind, do that. But I will meet you here at the end so we can really get this pattern going and getting to see how beautiful it can be. Alright, so when we get to the end, should look like this. I'm probably going to say that a billion more times. We are going to chain 1 and make sure we go into this top chain on the hook. Top chain on your work, sorry, not your hook. And then we are going to slide over 1, chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to do a little bit different. Your pattern's going to get a little bit different. We are going to double crochet into 1, 2, the top of the 2 double crochets that are in a row here. This will count as 1, so 1, 2, and 3. Once you get your third one, we are going to, you may have guessed it, go straight into that chain 1 space and double crochet twice. And now we will have 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love this pattern because for me, I like to be very precise in my work, and this will show precision like no other, because you can really sit here and count, and it's really hard to mess this one up because if you do, you have to pull it out. So the next thing we want to do, what makes it different than the other rounds, is we're going to chain 2 instead of 1 in between, and then we're going to do just the same as we would on the other one. Skip this first double crochet, go into the next with a double crochet on the top, and then you make your way all the way until you hit your end with the single chain stitch, and you're going to chain 2 into that to do an increase. And once you do that, you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to skip the double crochet, the first one, and go into the top of the next. 1, 2, and 3, and then you're going to crochet twice, double crochet twice into the chain 1 space and chain 2, and you're going to do that all the way around until you get to the end. So I will meet you there. Okay, now that we are at the end here, make sure you chain your 2, 1, 2 after your 2 double crochet increase in the chain 1 space, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of this chain, and then we are going to move over 1, and we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And about at this point, you can kind of see how your work will start to turn. I actually have this blue one as an example of what I did, and it's the same pattern. I did it with 2 different color lots, so it's a little, you could see where it's a little different, but this was supposed to be just all one color, because doing it with 2, it's a very hard change. I did try to do one, however, with each one of these different color, and it took forever to keep changing the colors. But if you want to try and do that, do it, and please show me, because I think something like that would be really pretty, but take a lot of color changing. But yeah, this is what it will look like. This one spirals out really beautiful. We're not done with the pattern, but this is just an example of what it'll look like, because I did not know that. I thought it would be more flattering actually on the peach, but I guess with a lighter color you can really see the turns a lot nicer. But we're not done yet, so maybe that will change. But at this point it would have, yeah, it kind of looks the same, I guess. This one, it looks more like little seeds instead of spirals, but hopefully we'll get a spiral going in a second here. So what we want to do next is do what we were doing before, except on this round, usually whenever you do your chain 2, you go directly into the next double crochet. You don't skip like you would for every one around. So, and the best way to make sure you're doing it right is to count how many you have. So crochet all the way to the end and crochet 2 into the now chain 2 space. Then I want you to chain 2, 1, 2. And yes, now you can count. There's 5, now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to do the same thing we were doing. Skip this first double crochet and double crochet into each one around. And then we're going to double crochet twice into here. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're going to skip this first double crochet, go into the next. All the way across. And then double crochet 2 into the chain 2 space. And then chain 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to meet you back at the end. Yeah, see, you can totally see the spiral. Okay, I spoke too soon. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've done that pattern, but it is beautiful, and I'm looking forward to having a peach one to go with my light baby blue one. I'll see you back at the end of this round. Alright, once we have made it to the end, you do make sure that after your increase of your 2 double crochets, or increase of 1, I guess you would say, at the end of this space, make sure you chain 2, 1, 2, and that you go into the top of your chain space, and that you slip stitch over and chain 2. And yeah, your spiral is probably looking pretty fun right now. Different colors will look different. Like I said, the blue, I could tell right away, you know, that it was a spiral. This one might take a little extra, you know, work to work into the ends, and once it's big, you'll definitely be able to see it spiral, especially with a lot of these sticking together. But yeah, now we are going to do one more round with a chain 2 space. What we're going to do is, I can even leave you. I'm going to do one more round for anybody else who wants to see it, and probably even one more after that. But this one, I'm going to show you, this is our first round of double crochet, second, third, fourth, and in between each of those was one chain, one chain, one chain, one chain. So then once you get to your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then 8th row, in between each of those is a chain 2. Well, then after that, 9, 10, 11, 12 needs to be in a chain 3, and so on. Every time you get done with 4 rows, you need to add a chain onto each set of 4 rows after that. I can probably write that down in the description if you need it. So if anybody needs to ask, because when I download all my videos, I upload them all at once, so it can be hard to remember. But please, if you need that, ask me. But for the first 4 rows, we're going to chain 1 in between. The next 4 rows, 2 in between. The next 4 rows after that, 3. Next 4 rows, 5. And we're going to keep doing that until you get to a chain of 5 in between. We don't want to chain more than 5 in between, because 5 is plenty of room in between. And since you are doing these increases, it will increase without you having to add those extra chains. It's the chains just affect how the spiral goes from really small like this to spiraling out like so. Because this was your first chain 1, and now you're already on your 2, so you can imagine what 5 looks like. It's very separated like this. So I'm going to do one more row with you, and then, since I gave you all that information, and then yeah, I'll probably speed through this one, fast forward through it, so you can see what it looks like with 3 chains opposed to 1 and 2. And so I will meet you back at the end of this row after I crochet to the end of this space. Make sure you crochet into each top of the double crochets all the way till you get to your end where the chain 2 space is. And you want to double crochet 2, 1 and 2, and make sure you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and skip the first double crochet, go into the next, creating a beautiful space. and I will meet you back at the end. I'll probably just, well, look how that worked out. Now we are at the end, and you can definitely see the pretty spiral starting. The next thing we're going to do is make sure you finish off by chaining 2, slip stitching at the top of this chain, and move over 1, skipping the first double crochet. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and make sure you go into every double crochet beside this all the way till the end. That should be counting your chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 is at the end, and you're going to add 2 into the chain 2 space, making 8. Lovely. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And I guess we're going to chain 2. And we're actually going to go all the way around one more time, sorry. And then when we start on 9, we are going to chain 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. So multiples of 4, we add 1 chain until you max out at 5 chains. Then after that, you will chain 5, and then just do the pattern all the way around the same, and chain 5 and chain 5 and chain 5 and chain 5 in between, and that is it. So I guess I'll leave you here. No need for me to do too much more, I don't think, because I think that you've got it, and I really hope you enjoy all my videos. Please like and subscribe, because that's how I keep making these free awesome videos for you, and thank you so much for watching.